If you are skinny fat, you are not almost in shape. You are in the worst place possible. You look soft with a shirt on, and you still don't have the muscle to look good with a shirt on. Just give me 10 to 15 minutes of your time, and I will show you the exact three-step process that I use personally to go from skinny fat to having a lean, athletic, aesthetic physique without overthinking your workouts or your diet. So, before we get into it, I used to be a chubby kid growing up in the Netherlands. From the age of 0 all the way up until the age of around 14 or 15. I struggled being that fat, insecure kid. But then at the age of 14, 15, I went through this growth spurt, which I thought was awesome because I got rid of most of the baby fat, the body fat. But then I had the exact opposite issue where, yes, I got rid of all of the body fat, but now I was left with minimal body fat. I still had some body fat, but I had very little muscle mass as well. So I ended up looking like this, yeah, frail, skinny fat person. And so I have been on both the extremes where I was insecure because I was overweight, but then I was also insecure because I was low muscle mass and high body fat. So I've gone through all of it and it absolutely sucks. And it's difficult to pinpoint exactly which situation is worse. But in today's video, if you are skinny fat right now, I'm going to give you the solution to actually fix this, how I fixed it, how I help my clients fix it, and how hopefully you can fix it as well. And now I've coached hundreds of transformations and I've seen the exact same pattern repeat. Now in this video, you'll learn the 3-step blueprints that fixes the skinny fat permanently, where you build muscle first, you eat for performance, and then you cut the right way. So here's the plan. Number 1, why skinny fat is secretly dangerous, because a lot of people don't think about this. They think skinny fat is just like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter, I'm still healthy. Like, no. It is unhealthy. It is not good for you whatsoever. So I'm going to shine the light on why that is the case. I'm also going to be talking about the 3 steps to delete it permanently, so this will no longer become an issue for you. And then lastly, the exact workout program and nutrition rules that you should follow every single week to actually make this happen. Starting with the first issue, why skinny fat is a problem. And it is not just aesthetics, because most skinny fat people, and I used to think this myself as well when I was skinny fat, they think that I am not overweight, therefore I am healthy. That's what a lot of people think. But here's the truth. That is the trap. There's actually research around something called normal weight obesity, where you have a normal BMI, but you're high body fat, and it's linked to higher cardiometabolic risk. Skinny fat is basically overweight health, disguised as a smaller frame. And here's what makes it even worse. The problem isn't that you are too fat. The problem is you have far too little muscle mass. And muscle is so important. It is almost like the engine that soaks up all the calories that you consume and handles the carbohydrates that you consume properly, efficiently. Now, when you have low muscle, your body has less room to store energy, and more of it spills into fat storage over time. And resistance training, so lifting weights, going close to failure, progressively overloading, actually improves how your muscles handle glucose and insulin, even beyond just getting bigger. So if you want to delete permanently the whole skinny fat look, you don't start with endless cutting by going on a fat loss diet, by going on this cutting phase. You do it by doing the opposite. You start by building muscle first. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, because they're kind of in this weird dilemma where, once again, they're not overly overweight, but they're not underly underweight. They're kind of in this, I was going to say happy medium, but I guess unhappy medium, where they're kind of conflicted. I'm stuck in the middle. I have low muscle and high body fats. What do I do from here? Do I go on a cut, on a fat loss phase, or do I go on a bulking phase? A lot of people will go on the cut first. But you have to ask yourself this question. When you are cutting, your primary goal, at least should be, to lose body fat. But hang on a second, you're skinny fat. You have no muscle mass. And so if you were to go in a cut right away, what do you end up doing? Or what will you reveal once you have accomplished your cut? You will reveal nothing because you have nothing to showcase. You have nothing to show for it because you have no muscle. And so what is the point of cutting down if you have zero muscle mass? Now, if you're obese, if you're overweight, then yes, your health markers, everything will improve by going on a cut. But if you're skinny fat, you have the opposite issue because you have such low muscle mass where it's actually unhealthy for you to be at that stage. And if you combine that with low body fat as well, that is not good at all. You're going to look worse, you're going to feel worse, you're going to have lower energy, you're not going to be able to do daily tasks, you're not going to be able to pull yourself up, do pull-ups, do push-ups, have a base level of strength. So your main goal here is to actually build muscle first. And then once you have built that muscle, once you have built a solid foundation to actually work off, then you have earned your cut. So if you try to cut as a skinny fat physique, you just become smaller and a skinnier version of the same problem. So step one is simple. Lift weights to build an aesthetic base. Now here's your goal. Train at the very least, bare minimum, 2 times per week, all the way up to 5 to 6 days per week on the extreme end of things. I would say for most of our successful clients, they work out 2 to 4 times a week. That is plenty. You don't need more than that. Now, during these weight training sessions, when you're in the gym lifting weights, the key here is progressive overload. You don't just want to be going into the gym, doing random exercises, or worse yet, just go on the treadmill. Like, no. I used to make that mistake where I got a gym membership. I was really proud of myself, but for the first couple months, I was just too intimidated to actually go into the weightlifting section of the gym. And I would just go in the back and do the cardio stuff. I'd be on the elliptical, the Stairmaster, the treadmill. Because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was digging myself in a deeper and deeper hole. Because yes, I was burning more calories and it was good for my cardiovascular health, sure, but I was also losing muscle. I was getting weaker as well. So when you're at the gym, the key is progressive overload, and you have to prioritize the big muscle groups. This includes your shoulders, specifically the side delts, the upper chest, the lats, the legs. Don't be that guy. Don't skip legs, and your core. By prioritizing these muscle groups, you're going to create that aesthetic V-taper physique that we're all after, right? You want to have those broad shoulders, those wide lats, that big upper chest, that Superman, that barbarian physique that we're all after. And of course, you got to train your legs. Don't skip out on your legs. Abs, I mentioned as well, that is optional. If you truly want to reveal your abs, that simply comes down to being at a low enough body fat percentage, which once again, you will reveal once you have earned your cuts. But during this lean bulking phase, definitely strengthening up your midsection, your core, will help them pop more once you do reveal them during your cut. So I would recommend not skipping out on your core and your abs either. So here's your exercise menu. We talked about what muscle groups that you should prioritize when you're actually building muscle at the gym. So here's the exercise menu. It is very simple and very effective. Pull-ups, assisted pull-ups, or lat pull-downs to target your lats. So any pull-down movements, any vertical pull-down movements, right? Pull-ups, assisted pull-ups, or pull-downs. You can experiment with different hand grips, different variations. I like doing a pronated grip to target more of my lats. You can do a neutral grip as well, or even a supinated grip. A supinated grip will target more of your biceps. Pronated will get your biceps a bit out of it. So really play around with it. There's no right or wrong answer here. Sometimes you can just switch it up for variation's sake. Like let's say for a couple months you do pronated grip on a pull down. A couple months later, just to spice it up, you can do a supinated grip or a neutral grip. Secondly is rows. So we've done the vertical pull downs. Now we want to do a horizontal row, right? This could be a barbell bench row, a dumbbell row, a machine row, just any type of row variation, a chest supported row to really focus on that back thickness. Thirdly is the incline press. It could be an incline dumbbell press, could be push-ups, could be machine press to really emphasize the upper chest. A lot of people don't have an issue hitting their middle or lower chest. but a lot of people lack that upper chest. So always when you do a pressing movement for your chest, emphasize an incline to target that upper pec. Fourthly, for your side delts, lateral raises. Side delts, dumbbell lateral raises, machine lateral raises, cable lateral raises, different variations, different angles. Hammer, spam your side delts. No one ever has gotten two big side delts before. And it is one of the most aesthetic parts of your body. A lot of people will hit their front delts indirectly with any pressing movements, and their rear delts, the back of the shoulder, with any rowing or pull down movements. But a lot of people neglect their side delts because they do not get hit either directly or indirectly. So you got to make sure that you hit them directly with a lot of lateral raises, even doing some overhead pressing as well from time to time, but specifically any lateral raise to really get those shoulders capped. Now moving on to the lower body, any squat pattern. For your quads, this could include a hack squat, back squat, front squat, any squat variation, split squat, even lunges are also great for your glutes, and then a hip hinge. An RDL, Romanian deadlift, stiff-legged deadlift, deficit deadlift, regular deadlift, any hip hinge to really target the back of your leg, your hamstrings. And then lastly, for your abs, just some direct work. It could be some sit-ups, could be leg raises 2 to 3 times a week. Now, here are some training rules that actually matter that I really want you to focus on. For the most part, stick within the 5 to 10 rep range for most of your lifts, because studies have shown that we gauge our intensity or our reps in reserve becomes a lot more difficult if you do higher reps. Let's say I tell you, hey, do 20 to 30 reps, but go to failure. A lot of people will just, before they even hit the 20 or 30 reps, they'll just get tired. When physically they can still keep going, but mentally they're just kind of gassed out. They're tapped out. They can't keep going. Whereas if I tell you, hey, go to failure in the 5 to 10 rep range, I mean, you can go pretty heavy, and you know for a fact that if you can no longer lift the weight, you've gone to true muscular failure, right? It's not like your mind is giving up on you. It's strictly your muscles that are giving up on you. And so we are far better gaugers of intensity when it comes to training closer to failure in the lower rep ranges than the higher rep ranges. So specifically for the compound lifts, I always recommend going higher in weights and lower in reps. Not super low in reps. You still want to be in that hypertrophy rep range zone, which is actually a lot broader than we had once anticipated, anywhere ranging from around as little as 5 reps all the way up to 30 reps. That is the hypertrophy rep range. So as long as you're kind of within this rep range, you are going to be building muscle. But here's the caveat. You have to make sure that you're training close to failure. At the very least, 1 to 3 reps in reserve, meaning that on an exercise, you should have roughly 1 up to 3 reps left in the tank. Anything north of that, beyond that, let's say you had 4 reps left in the tank, 5, 6, 7 reps left in the tank, that is not going to be a stimulative set because you simply could have pushed yourself a lot harder. And studies have shown, not just studies, but like anecdotally, looking at the bodybuilders, looking at anyone who lifts weights, you have to train close to failure, because if you're leaving reps left in the tank, you're just simply not stimulating your muscles properly and hard enough for them to actually grow. Because if you're not doing that, your muscles are like, okay, well, this was fun. We're just kind of chilling. And you're not going to be recruiting all of your muscle fibers, all your whatever, to actually stimulate growth. So you have to make sure that within your rep range that you're working within, that you're going close to failure. And now when it comes to the weekly volume in terms of sets to do, stick within 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. So for example, if you train your chest, let's say twice a week, on a Monday and on a Thursday, you can do around 5 sets on Monday of a bench press, flat press, and on the Thursday, you can do another 5 sets of an incline press. Boom, there you go. Those are your 10 minimum sets of chest for the week. Now you want to do this for all muscle groups. At the very least, bare minimum, 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. 10 on the lower end of things, 20 on the higher end of things. So specifically, if you have lagging muscle groups, or if you want to prioritize a certain muscle group, I would definitely recommend going higher up in volume, because volume is king. Volume is key when it comes to muscle growth. The more volume that you can recover from, so this isn't like do as much volume as you possibly can. Like you still have to do a good amount of volume that you can still recover from. Because let's say you're doing 40 sets per muscle group per week, but you cannot recover from that. So that next session you're still sore and you're actually underperforming and you're under recovered, then there's no need. You're actually doing more harm than good. You're just digging yourself in a deeper and deeper hole. Whereas you just want to, when you're working out, you want to break down the muscle, dig yourself in a small enough hole that you can still get yourself out of before you train it once again. So going back to the chest example, if you train chest on Monday and you do 5 sets, and then you train chest again on a Thursday, and when Thursday comes around, you are still sore, you are under recovered, and you try to do a set and you did worse than you did last week, that is a clear sign that you're doing too much volume, meaning that you're under recovered. So you should probably lower the volume, right? We can only do as much volume as we can recover from. So don't think that I can do unlimited amount of volume, unlimited amount of sets. The more sets I do, the better. To an extent, yes. To the extent that you can recover from that from. So keep that in mind. So for most people, once again, 10 to 20 per muscle group per week should put you in that good spot. Now, when it comes to progression, right? We can't just keep on doing the same weight over and over again, expecting different results. Like we gotta add more stimulus, more tension to the muscles over time. This is what we call progressive overload. So the way that we like to do it with our clients inside of our program is we give them a certain rep range to work within, whether it's the 5 to 10 rep range, 10 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 30, depending on the muscle group and depending on the actual exercise. And then within that, we want them to start at a relatively heavy weight that they can do with around 2 to 3 reps in reserve. And then working within that rep range, let's say week 1, you do 100 pounds and you do 2 sets of 5 reps. Well, then next week, keeping the weight the same, you do 2 sets of 6 reps. The following week, you keep the weight the same, 2 sets of 7 reps. And then you do 8 reps. And then you do 9 reps. And then you do 10 reps, all using the same weight. And then once you hit the top of the rep range, now you add more weight again. And by adding more weight, your reps will naturally drop off. Because naturally speaking, you're lifting heavier weight now. And it should be more difficult now. So your reps would naturally drop off. And then you're going to rinse and repeat the process once again. This is what we call double progression. It is the most easiest, straightforwardest way that you can progressively overload and get stronger and force your muscles to actually grow in the gym. Because once again, you cannot just keep on doing the same weight for the same reps over and over again, expecting different results. It doesn't work like that. You have to keep on adding a new stimulus to your body in order for it to pretty much force to grow. So keep that in mind. That is it. You do not need a fancy split. You just need progression. So here's a quick personal story. When I was skinny fat, 14, 15, 16 years old, I avoided powerlifting because I didn't want to get too bulky. And I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but yeah, I used to have that mindset where I thought if I started lifting weights, I would get too bulky and that would impede on my soccer because I was playing soccer at the time. I played at a high level. I had a scholarship to play soccer. Like soccer was my life. And I thought that lifting weights would make me slower, make me last fast. And what I actually did was I just ended up staying soft, weak, and frustrated, not just for a couple of months, but for years. And that's not fun, like at all. In the moment I switched my mindset and actually trained like a true athlete and progressively overloaded, got stronger over time. Everything changed for me. So we talked about the workouts, but none of this matters if your nutrition isn't dialed in. So let's talk about the diet. Now the dieting piece. Most skinny fat people do one of 2 things. So let me know which one you do. Number 1, you eat like a bird and then you binge, right? So you eat nothing throughout the day, but then you have this urge to just eat a bunch of food at night. You restrict binge cycle. Or you eat like trash and then you panic diet, where you just kind of eat whatever you feel like eating, and then you notice that you're maybe not looking the way you want to look, and then you go on this crash diet, juice cleanse, detox tea, whatever. Now, instead of doing any of these things, which is horrible for you, bad relationship with food, bad for your psychology, you want to put yourself in a small calorie surplus or even at maintenance while you're lifting hard in a gym. Now, here's the calorie rule. If you can, start at maintenance or put yourself in a small calorie surplus of around 150 to 250 calories above your maintenance. And now there's a bunch of different ways that you can find your maintenance calories, and I've made numerous of videos on this before. But just for simplicity's sake, you can go online to a calorie calculator that'll spit out a random number. Take that number and just use trial and error. Experiment with it. Keep as many variables the same. So keep your activity the same, your sleep the same, your stress levels the same, and just eat that amount of food for the next week and see how your weight fluctuates. If you notice your weight is kind of staying the same, then boom, there you go. There's your calorie maintenance. If you notice you're losing weight, eating that amount of food, you know you're in a calorie deficit. If you notice you're gaining weight, eating that amount of calories, you know you're in a calorie surplus. So really play around with it. The number can constantly keep on changing. So once you have found your maintenance calories, just know that that's not going to be like a forever type of thing based on like your age, your activity level, like how things change, your stress levels, how much muscle mass you have, all these things. So don't get too scientific with this. Just get a rough estimate of your maintenance calories and just kind of stick with that. Now, once you have found your maintenance calories, you're not going to be dirty bulking. You're not going to be eating like a teenage linebacker. You're feeding muscle growth without getting fatter. And you need to do that by also making sure that you eat enough protein. So here's the protein rule. A lot of people overthink this, and they also overdo this. There's two different camps. There's either people who undereat protein significantly or overeat protein significantly, when in reality, you really don't need that much. Around 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight as your baseline. Like that, and that is so little. That's not even 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to maximize your results. And now I always recommend 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight just to keep things very, very simple. So if you weigh 150 pounds, eat around 150 grams of protein. That is it. You don't need more than that. You can even get away with eating a bit less than that. But it's the reason why I like to keep the protein at the very least to that minimum with all of my clients and for myself as well. It's not just for the muscle building effects it has, because obviously we need protein in order to build and or preserve muscle mass, but it has some amazing effects on your body too. Number one, it's the most satiating macronutrient, meaning it takes a bit longer for your body to break down and digest compared to carbohydrates and fats. So if you are a big eater and you have a hard time sticking to your diet and you just love eating food, increasing your protein intake can actually keep you fuller for longer, which is great, especially if you're trying to lose body fat. But in this situation, as a skinny fat person, you really want to be maximizing muscle growth. So at the very least, stick to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That is the intake level strongly supported in research for maximizing lean gains during resistance training. Now, in normal language, protein is not magical, but it makes building muscle way, way, way easier. So please prioritize protein in every single meal. Just make a rule to yourself that every single meal that I eat, there has to be protein in it. And you can even simplify this as well. Let's say you are 150, no, for example, let's say you're 160 pounds and your goal is to eat 160 grams of protein and you want to eat 4 meals per day. Well, what should you do? You should take your number of protein that you want to hit per day and divide it by the number of meals that you want to eat. So 160 divided by 4 meals, that is roughly 40 grams of protein in every meal. So make it real to yourself that every single meal that I eat, moving forward, I eat at least 40 grams of protein in that meal. And this could be in a form of chicken, beef, fish, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, even whey protein as well, casein protein, whey isolates. These are all great sources of protein. Just make sure you pick one of these foods, add it into your meals, and you should be good to go. Now, if you cannot eat enough to grow, a couple of things that you can do here is add a shake. Shakes are an absolute game changer. If you have a bad appetite, or if you don't have or if you're just busy, you're in a time crunch and you just don't want to physically chew food, liquid calories are going to be your best friend. They're really easy to whip up. You can add whatever you want into them. I used to make shakes every single morning where I'd add some coffee. If you don't like coffee, you can skip out on that. You can add some milk, almond milk, whole milk, 2% milk, whatever milk fancies your boat. Add a scoop of protein powder, add a banana, add 1 or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, add some oats, add some ice if you want it a bit thicker, and then boom, there you go. You can have as little as 300 calories all the way up to 1,000 calories if you have to. That is why I love incorporating shakes to people who have a hard time eating enough food, because you can go pretty crazy with the calories in it. Now, you have to be careful here because they are so easy to get down and they are so easy to add more calories into. Where if you have the opposite issue, like me, who I love eating and I have no issues getting my calories in, if you have all these shakes, it's not going to fill you up as much, and it's likely going to be that you're going to be overeating. So just kind of find a happy medium for you. They're very convenient when you're on the go, but if you're a big eater like myself, then I would strictly, stick with whole foods if you can. On top of that too, if you can't eat enough, adding fruits, rice, oats, or potatoes to your meals can be beneficial. Any type of fat as well, nut butters, they're so easy to just add to a meal. Olive oil as well, just add a sprinkle of that into your meal. Easy 100 to 200 calories if you wanted to, right? And then on top of that, just add in one extra snack on top of your meals. That simple. Now, here's the client pattern I see constantly. Skinny fat guys, they train hard, but they eat random, low protein and inconsistent meals. But once we lock in their protein intake and they start lifting consistently, their shoulders and their chest will pop within weeks. They'll start building muscle, their confidence will improve, they'll actually lose some body fat too, and they just actually transform their physique, something that we call a body recomposition, where you're both gaining more muscle, but then also losing body fat at the same time, which is ideal. A lot of people cannot do this, but as a beginner, especially in a skinny fat situation, it is definitely doable. But as you get more advanced, it becomes increasingly more difficult. Now, we've talked about the workout routine, the diet plan. What happens after? Let's say you've built up a good amount of muscle, you've gone a bit stronger, you're feeling a bit better, you've got more confidence. What to do now? Step 3 is cut. Cut after you've earned it. Because at some point, once you have built a solid base, you can cut. And now your cut can actually work because you have muscle that you can actually reveal. Your metabolism now is a lot higher, meaning that you can cut, lose body fat while eating a lot more calories, which is awesome. Who doesn't want to do that? And you don't look like a deflated balloon, which is also good. Now, here's the rule when it comes to cutting. Put yourself in a 300 to 500 calorie deficit. So let's say your maintenance calories is 2,500 calories. Go down to 22 to 2,000 calories every single day. Keep your protein intake the same. Keep it nice and high. Same rule applies. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Don't lower it. Don't play around with it. Just keep that the same. And now keep lifting heavy. Don't turn workouts into cardio. That's a big mistake because a lot of people have this mindset where, okay, as soon as I go on a fat loss phase, I should completely change my workouts. Like, no, you want to keep doing the same workouts that's got you the physique that you currently have while doing a fat loss phase in order to keep the same physique that you have while you're losing body fat. Because if you completely change up the entire workout modality, you go from lifting weights to now only doing cardio, or you're just doing all these crazy different workouts now, your body is going to have a really difficult time holding on to that hard-earned muscle mass. So whatever you did, whatever it took to build your physique, you should keep on doing in order to reveal what you have built during a fat loss phase. You want to keep on trying your best to progressively overload, get stronger, do all these things. Now, specifically when it comes to cardio, I want you to view this as a tool and not a necessity. So when it comes to cardio, what I like to do personally, what I've done for all my bodybuilding shows, and also what I like to do with my clients is simply add steps. Just add steps and don't add suffering. No need to go on marathon runs, running all the time. Like, no. My favorite lazy cardio is fat loss tool, and that is 8 to 12,000 steps a day. It burns calories without wrecking recovery or making you feeling starved throughout the day. Now, last point here is the most underrated step, and that is going to be your sleep. The part that no one wants to hear, because if you sleep like trash, unfortunately, your skinny fat physique will survive forever. It won't disappear. You will stay skinny fat because sleep restriction is linked to increased hunger and higher calorie intake in controlled research, meaning that you train, but you recover worse. You may diet, but your cravings win at night. So if you want the fastest physique transformation possible, sleep is not optional. Treat sleep like you treat your working meetings, like you view your diet, like you view your workouts, like non-negotiables. Sleep is that important, guys. It really is. So do not sleep on your sleep. So to wrap this up, here's the blueprint once again. Step number 1, if you are skinny fat, focus on building muscle first. Don't go on a cut. Don't starve yourself. Put yourself at calorie maintenance, eat a high protein diet, resistance train, progressively overload. Build muscle first. Eat at maintenance or a small calorie surplus with a high protein diet, and then cut after you've earned it. But keep lifting and hit your steps as well. And lastly, as a bonus, sleep like your physique depends on it, because it truly does. If you lack sleep, your life will just suck, period. Now, if you want me and my team to build you the exact plan and adjust it week to week and help you build that aesthetic V-taper physique as we head into the summer of 2026, what you can go ahead and do is schedule a free consultation call with me down below, where we'll essentially go over your current goals to see exactly how much muscle you're looking to lose, how much muscle you're looking to gain, how much fat you're looking to lose. We'll see exactly what's holding you back right now, whether it is your diet, your workout program, lack of knowledge, lack of accountability, lack of structure. And then together we'll create a game plan to help you absolutely crush your goals in the next 3 to 6 months. Now, if that sounds good to you, the link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there. Peace.